Did I make my farm worse? So this is a question I think we all kind of ask, but a lot of us don't have the previous year's knowledge of a property to tell what changes did to that property. So I want to make this video to tell you what could happen by the changes that you make. And also we think that by changing all this stuff, it's just automatically going to be great, when a lot of the changes are going to take a few years to really pay off. And I think that's really what happened to me here. Luckily I had hunted this farm before. I previously bought it, so I kind of had the experience of what it was like before and then what happened last year after I purchased it. So it was all CRP when I bought it, and I took it all out and put beans in and converted it into ag. So it's all row crop now, or some sort of row crop. I did a lot of different things this year than I did previous year to hopefully get it better and be a lot better farm this fall. The one main thing that I want to stress is if there's mature deer on a farm and they're used to it, if you come and strip all the CRP out and all the bedding cover and everything, chances are they're probably going to move off your farm. So by making some of those changes, it could make your farm a lot worse than it might have already been. Now, doing little changes might not be as drastic as doing a big change like I did, because half of my land now that was CRP is all row crop. And by taking that out, the deer just didn't feel secure and didn't move like they had been during daylight. So I'm doing some changes this year, but just keep in mind that if you want a bunch of food and you go in and change your whole property, it might make it worse than what it was to begin with. Deer need a lot of secure cover, and you want that food to be right by the bedding cover to be able to get daylight activity. So if you don't have enough cover or bedding, it's going to be really tough to get a big buck in there during daylight. So for me, I just really made this property worse than what it had been, especially since it's open to the road and deer just didn't feel safe to move during daylight. And the one thing that I want to talk about too is mature deer. It's really hard to get a mature buck that's 5 or 6 years old to move into an area, especially if there's no drastic changes in that area where he lives already. So by making a bunch of improvements, it's really hard to get mature deer to move onto your property. But the one good thing that I did see by making some of these improvements is some good 3 and 4 year olds moving into the property. So just stay patient, because it's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully your hard work will pay off and you'll get some of them 3 and 4 year olds to stick around to make it to 5 and 6 years old, so you have more mature bucks to hunt. The biggest thing that you're trying to do is create enough cover, food, and habitat to have hopefully a couple of deer that are mature to be able to hunt. So to recap everything, as most landowners, we really like to go in and improve the habitat, but sometimes doing too much intrusion can be a bad thing. And by drastically changing that land, it could push deer off, especially ones that have been there for a while and liked little to no intrusion, and they like that seclusion of just overgrown property. So that's one thing to think about before you go in and just make a bunch of changes. Is there a good bedding, thick area? The CRPs are good. It just provides a little bit of cover. They feel safe moving in that taller grass. So just really think about everything. Have a good plan, but at the same time, don't be afraid to try new things. You know, everybody's always trying to get the fast track to have this most amazing property that's going to produce these giant deer in the first year, and it doesn't work that way, and it's going to take a little bit of time. It just takes time to create the perfect property, and having one deer that's used to a certain thing, and by changing that, it's probably going to maybe push that deer away. But you could attract some other deer too. It's just really hard to get mature deer to move onto your property that first year, especially if there's nothing that changed around that deer's home range. So don't be afraid to try new things. New things are good, but just don't look for the easiest thing. Don't be afraid to try and implement new things, and if it doesn't work or doesn't help your property, don't be afraid to make changes. And that's the nice thing about owning a property, is every year you can try something new and give it a couple years, see if it works, and if it doesn't work, try something else. Every property is different, and the biggest thing is try to diversify from your neighboring properties to give the deer something that they can't get anywhere else. So it might make your property a little bit better than the other properties around it and attract those bigger, older deer. Good learning year this last year, because I thought, oh man, if I put a bunch of food in here, it's going to be great. The deer are going to have food, they've got some cover. But what happened was there wasn't enough cover, they didn't feel secure, and it was just too hard to get them to move during daylight hours. So I've made some big improvements this year to the farm to try to get that, to get them to feel a little bit more secure, and then also to try to get that daylight activity enhanced and bring back a little bit of cover to the farm, and hopefully get them to bed a little closer to the fields. Anyway, I will be doing an upcoming video to show you what I did this year that hopefully will make a better change for this fall. And I really appreciate you watching this. As always, stay hidden, and please like and subscribe to my channel and follow along with this journey this year. It's really fun to have a property and make changes to better the habitat for the deer, and then also just better the habitat for wildlife in general. Thanks for watching.